Hey there, and welcome to today's video. For today's video, we'll be finishing off last week's mansion. Now, in case you didn't watch last week's video, this is a video that was built with the Get Famous pack that was on trial for Halloween weekend. It's one of those builds that took me a lot longer than I expected to actually build. It was limited time content. I didn't really want to make a whole new build, but the build that I originally had didn't really work for it. Just because I don't tend to like using these trials as a whole new build specifically because of the limited time. But I also wanted to do the pack justice. And to make up for it, I did a bit of a challenge where you have to try to get the build to be at least 1 million simoleons. So I'd say it about evens itself out. Now, as I mentioned, we're finishing the build, so you're not going to see any of the outside work. There is some minimal landscaping that goes on, that's for sure. But I don't think nearly as much as anyone was expecting, considering the landscaping that I do for other houses. It just so happened that this one was on a bit of a time crunch, and that's the way it turned out. Now, this was based off of a single picture that I found off the internet, which you'll see around the end once we get to the screenshots. But this house was definitely a challenge with how symmetrical it was. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind symmetry. I find that it's actually easier to split up a house sometimes when it's very symmetrical. It's kind of like having a blank page and being like, here, you can draw whatever you want, just stay within the lines. So it doesn't matter as much personally whether it's too symmetrical or asymmetrical. A layout is a layout at the end of the day. They're hard to figure out, and sometimes they lend themselves better for some things than others. But this one in particular, it was the issue with the symmetry and the size. So based off some mansion floor plans that I've seen here and there, this one was, I would say, very much on the small side, but I took the idea from them and basically split the house into wings. Now, considering the challenge and the fact that I wanted to make the most use out of the Get Famous pack as I could, let me just preface this by saying this is nothing like what I would ever decorate a house. I wouldn't say it's completely tacky, but let's just say there's a room that has a tiger rug. Now, I started decorating the house basically with what I'll call the entertainment wing. Now, originally this was going to be that you came in, there was a coat closet, and there was kind of like a staff entrance, you could call it, to the kitchen where they do the events. So in this kitchen is where they have access to the formal dining room and a bar slash lounge room slash probably where most of the parties would go on here. Now, I didn't leave an open space for something like a ballroom, even though Sims can get there and dance. I figured it would make at least a bit more sense to have more of a seating area. Now, there's a lot of seating areas in this house as it is anyways. But for this house in particular, I figured that about made sense. So the original coat room, coat closet, whatever you want to call it, I ended up making it into a garbage room since there wasn't anything like a side entrance, which is something that would probably be there in an actual mansion for staff or for the help to come in. But I ended up making that room, yes, the entrance that the staff would be using, but also more of a garbage room since I didn't really want to have any bins on the outside. Not like I couldn't have placed one, I just felt like it was a bit off. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think this house actually got posted with a mailbox. So be on the lookout for a mailbox that will be placed in a random place inside the house. So along with the wings, there is the main entrance, and from the main entrance you can go upstairs. There's 2 doors on the upstairs as well, which is also kind of divided into wings. But before we get there, continuing on the downstairs, if you're looking at it from the front, the right side would be kind of the entertainment area of the first floor, whereas the left side is more of the living area. So here we actually have a whole other kitchen, dining, living room setup, whereas where I expect the family or whoever lives here to spend most of their time. There's also access to a whole office, which I kind of saw it maybe as a consulting room or something like that, but I don't even think that's a career Sims can have, even including all the packs. But anyways, from this wing, there also is stairs to go upstairs, and I'm ashamed to say that this house does not have nearly as many rooms as you would expect it to have. It only has 3 bedrooms. Now the 3 bedrooms are, let's say there's 2 on this wing. They could very easily be for either a couple or just a single sim. They all have their own en-suites and they also all have their own walk-in closets. But going back to the right side, that is, I would say, whoever owns the mansion's room. They basically get a whole wing to themselves, and you actually come into the wing. There's a piano, because why wouldn't there be a piano in a mansion? With access to one of the balconies. This balcony is actually a shared balcony. That's why I ended up making this more of a walk-through room, I guess you could call it. But from there, before you even get to the bedroom itself, you actually walk into a private living room, which has access to an office or the bedroom, and the bedroom has access to the bathroom through walk-in closets. This mansion was actually so ridiculous that I ended up even giving each of the Sims that would have this room their own golden toilet. It's that ridiculous. But all in all, we're just talking about the mansion itself. When you move on downstairs, which I ended up giving access only through, let's say, the living quarters, I kind of debated making this a bit more, let's say, public by having the main access to it in the main hallway. But I decided this is probably an area that's going to be more for not so much entertainment, more as an informal space. Let's call it that way. So there's actually a movie theater, because I thought every mansion should have its own movie theater, and a gym, and lo and behold, the safe. So there are these security doors that come with Get Famous, and you can lock it so only specific Sims can open it, but then again, you can lock pretty much any door. But I thought it was fun if this came with its own area. I actually left it empty since I was already over budget. But here you could put anything from simoleons to some art that you want your Sims to put away. Basically just safes. One of them you actually have to get through 3 doors to get to, and the other one through 2 doors. And I even put a double wall basically to make it reinforced. You can't really see me, but I'm making air quotes here. I just thought it was really fun in general for them to have this area here. Now, even though this is what I say downstairs, it's not exactly a basement, since this isn't a part that I explained in the last video. This is actually 3 floors, even though the mansion itself is technically only 2 with a basement. The thing with this house was that I didn't want to actually make it with foundation, since in the original picture there was a bit of a fountain with the stairway and then the pool. So you can't build pools on platforms, you can build it on foundations, but if I had a foundation it was going to be a bit awkward at the time where I wanted to put windows on the pool for it to look like a fountain. It was a whole thing, but let's just say that the foundation of this house is actually a floor. You're more than welcome to use it if you want to download this house and put some windows there as well, make the entrance a bit different. This is just how I decided to build this house. And I even left the quote-unquote basement without any windows, just to give it a bit more of that, oh, you're downstairs sort of feel. But there is a door you can walk out of into, let's say, the pool area through the gym. And I feel like a lot of the spaces that were down there wouldn't really need windows anyways, so it ended up working out for the purposes I wanted it to. But anyways, we are getting close to the end of this video. It was quite long, needing to split it into 2, I'm not going to deny that, but do let me know down below how you think this turned out. What do you think about the Get Famous pack? I personally think that it's great if you want to build mansions, or a mid-century house, which I was also about to do, but again, I just ran out of time, so maybe next time. And I guess there's quite a bit of gameplay with it as well. I'm just more of a builder personally than a player of LPs, but hey, I'd say all in all, it's not the worst pack to exist. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great weekend!